All right, let's go to Tuesday, guys. We got two more series. Washington, Pittsburgh. Game three of this series in the Burgh at the PPG Paints Arena, -145. Pittsburgh in game three, total 5.5, shaded to the over, -115. And, well, pretty much said it on yesterday's show that, it was a game that Washington needed to get at home to avoid going down 2-0, and they got it, a 4-1 win. They got another controversial moment from officials to go their way in the third period with a Patrick Hornquist goal waved off. I don't know. To me, there looked like there was white ice between the puck and the red goal line. But hey, obviously they couldn't find enough. There wasn't clear enough. The image wasn't blown up enough, clear enough, whatever you want to call it, to determine that it was a goal. So it stayed 3-1, and Pittsburgh tried to put some more pressure on, but couldn't beat Braden Holtby, and the Capitals end up winning 4-1, getting the win they desperately needed, tying up this series before the scene shifts to Pittsburgh. Very important to tie the series, A, because you don't want to go on the road down 2-0, and B, because Penguins very well could get Evgeny Malkin back for this game. He's going to be a game-time decision on Tuesday. They're going to see how he does in the morning skate. Same thing with Carl Hagelin. They're both saying going to both take the morning skate tomorrow prior to Game 3. We'll see what that means in terms of their status. And it's almost going to assure that, Dominic Simone might be the scratch for Pittsburgh. If one of these guys comes back. He's had a minimal impact so far. He's clearly the guy that I think would get sent to the scratch ward, I guess you could say, if one or both of Malkin and Hagelin come back in this game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And look, it's been what have we said about what have I said about these four series right from the start of the show? I'm very reluctant to be betting against the team off a loss. That's all there is to it in these Stanley Cup in this second round when you've got teams that are very good off a loss. All of these teams, you look at their off a loss record, all of these teams, these 8 teams that are left standing, they're all so good at responding off a poor performance. And obviously now Pittsburgh's in that spot after the 4-1 loss yesterday to Washington. So for me, from a side perspective, it's Pittsburgh or pass. It's just a question of value. Do you want to lay the $1.45? But that would be the way I would have to go in this game. It's going to got that back and forth feel to it. We know Pittsburgh in particular at home, their road record's been excellent once again this season. So yeah, for me it would be Pittsburgh at the $1.45 price. And I'm also going to get this on the over in this game because we've finally seen that adjustment. It's 5.5 for the first time. We've seen a drop in this total. It's down to 5.5. It was 6 in the first 2 games. 2 unders in Washington. A little fortuitous unders, lots of posts, lots of wide shots, lots of pretty good goaltending from Murray and from Holtby. I think now you get the value now shifting the other way. 5.5's available to you to go up and over the total. I think we finally get our first over of this series on Tuesday night, Washington and Pittsburgh. So for me, Pittsburgh a $1.45, over 5.5 -115. Those are the ways I'll go from a side and total. Game 3, Capitals Penguins. Let's go to Alex this time to get his opinion first on Washington Pittsburgh Game 3. Alex, what do you like here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the over in this as well. Probably I'll be on the first period and full game over because you have the possibility if we get Pittsburgh rather gets Malkin and Carl Hagelin back, but could also be losing Brian Dumoulin, who took that head injury and missed. I think he missed what about the last period and a half of the game on Sunday. That's going to be a huge loss. He's a guy who does a lot offensively and defensively from the blue line. So losing him and then getting back, 2 more. I mean, the wealth of offense we talked about it ad nauseum with Pittsburgh, but to have Malkin obviously is going to be beneficial, especially with the power play. So the only way I'd be looking here would be the over. Except I can't look at anything from a side. I got lucky with Pittsburgh game 1 and Washington game 2, so I'm just gonna kind of lay low and try and see if I can get some money here with the over in game 3.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh again -145 in a bounce back off a loss situation. Not the greatest bargain, but it does slide just under my little threshold. As you know, is -150. I've said that for ever and ever. I don't usually go more than that. If it's -145, still a playable price for me on Pittsburgh, and I'm with Alex like the over as well. Dana, Washington Pittsburgh thoughts?
Well, you guys know that. I mean, I like the Penguins to win their third Stanley Cup. So any chance that I can get to get the Penguins at the Igloo, where the Capitals have been horrific over time, and at a good price, yeah, I have no problem taking the Penguins in this one. I still think they're the better team. They are the better team. And just an update on the injuries. Brian Dumoulin practiced today with a non-contact jersey, but he did skate on the first pairing with Chris Letang. So I expect to see him in this game. He is so huge on getting the pucks out of the zone, being in the right place at the right time. I mean, if he can go, I mean, I'd rather take an 80% Dumoulin at this point. Also, Carl Hagelin skated today with a non-contact jersey until the Pens practice their penalty kill. Then he put a contact jersey on today. So that's kind of strange. I'm not really sure why. I guess there's more contact, I guess there's more contact, so they don't want to be contacted in that situation. But it does sound funny, guys, to hear Chris Letang talk after the game about the Penguins playing 60 minutes and how they need to be focused for the entire game, because we usually reserve that for Washington Capitals talk. Listen, guys, I love the Penguins having a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and perhaps the fact that the Hornquist goal didn't count is the best thing that ever happened to Pittsburgh. It's almost like Batman always needs a nemesis. And I know that the Penguins are the nemesis to the Capitals, but I don't think the Capitals are the nemesis to the Penguins. And now you give them a little bit of something to say, well, wait a minute, we're going to overcome this. I think the Penguins are going to come out and absolutely smoke the Washington Capitals. And by the way, look, like you guys, I saw that replay a million times yesterday. I have to admit, I didn't really see everything that everybody was talking about, but this morning on Twitter, and it's up on my SBR write-up, I did see another view that clearly, if you were using your common sense, showed that the puck was in the net. Now, if you saw how they reacted, how Hornquist reacted, who was right there over the puck, I mean, there was a man that knew he scored. If he didn't think he scored, he would have still been pounding away at the puck to get it over the line. Okay, so that's telling me the puck went over the net, and of course, either Gord Dwyer or Chris Rooney were in position to make that call. So, of course, they didn't see the puck. And ultimately, if we're going letter of the law, which apparently the NHL does once in a while, that was the correct call, because there was not significant evidence to say that it went over the line. Okay, that's my opinion on it. But this morning, I think it did. Anyway, going back to that, the Penguins are a better team. And even if they're less than 100%, they're better than the Washington Capitals. And a lot of this stuff has always fallen on Alexander Ovechkin's at his feet as to why the Capitals can't produce. And if I'm Alexander Ovechkin, I got to look at these Penguins every single series and say, you know what? If I had Malkin, if I had Kessel, I'd have some rings on my fingers too. And he's got to be looking at his line mates just shaking his head. The Penguins are the better team. They're going to win their third straight cup, and they're going to win game 3 of this series against the Caps.
All right, there you go. Pittsburgh minus 145. No argument. I mean, Pittsburgh off a loss. I still think Washington's got to prove it to me first, and Penguins, I think, a decent chance to bounce back. And look, yeah, Brian Dumoulin, that's a bad job by me not mentioning that right off the top. But yeah, injured yesterday. Brian Dumoulin, day-to-day. And hey, if he doesn't play, you still got Letang, Mata, Schultz, Oleksiak, Ruedel, a good group. And guess who steps in if Dumoulin doesn't play? Matt Hunwick. Okay, Matt Hunwick's in the playoffs last year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Veteran guy. He's been around the block, knows what he's doing at this time of year. It's not like they're crippled without Brian Dumoulin. We've got to stop talking like he's the next Bobby Orr or something, or Paul Coffey, Ray Bourque. I mean, he's a decent defenseman, but it's not on that level. I mean, they're going to miss him, but Pittsburgh can survive without him. They'll be fine, even if Dumoulin doesn't go game 3 on Tuesday night.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.